But if other people show up, that's awesome. We'll just catch them up as we go along, or I will send this video out to everybody. And there's Samantha. Hello, Samantha. And this is Hannah. Hannah is our GTA this semester. Welcome, Hannah. Actually,
Hi,
let's
everyone.
go ahead and start with introductions. I'll introduce myself, and I'll have Hannah introduce herself, and then I'll introduce the course. The rest of you, we will get to meet when the course actually starts. So first of all, my name is Dr. Stephanie Link. I am an assistant professor in the English department, and I'm applied linguist, which means that I study language for the purpose of applying for practical problem solving. And in this case, studying the language of scientific communication for the purpose of teaching publications, teaching writing for publications. And so I've been teaching this course now for, I think this will be my 4th time teaching it here at OSU, and I've also taught it at Iowa State University, and I've been researching research writing for many years, so many years that I feel like I'm actually pretty old now. I used to say, oh, I've been doing it for, about 5 years. Now it's like getting upwards of 10 or so years. So I'm really excited about this topic, and I hope that my excitement for talking about research writing sort of transposes to all of you so that you can get excited about the process, because I know that research writing can be daunting and it can be very time intensive. And I want to provide you tools and strategies to make that process a little bit more manageable, to lessen your anxiety about the process, and increase your knowledge and awareness about the process. So this whole semester, these 8 weeks, that's exactly my intent. I'm going to be providing you with these skills that will ultimately lead to a manuscript that's ready for submitting to your advisor, and then ultimately for publication. Sound good? So yeah, what else about me? I've been here at Oklahoma State for about 5 years. I'm going up for tenure, cross your fingers, this fall. So hopefully I can, stay here for many, many more years. And yeah, I'm also a faculty fellow of the Graduate College, and I run several writing programs for them, including a dissertation writing workshop for those of you who are nearing the completion of your degree. Within the last year of your degree, you can take this week-long writing workshop. Before then, we realized that students were really digging the concepts of the workshop, so we turned it into a course, and that's why I see all of you here today. So Hannah, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name's Hannah Bingham-Bruner. I am the TA for this course. I'm a 3rd year in Applied Linguistics PhD, so I'm in Steph's department, and I am also learning some of this with you, so I'm really excited to be here. This isn't my specialty like it is Steph's, but I've been pre-learning everything, so you're in for a real treat with this course.
So this summer I had Hannah observe the workshop, so she learned from there, and she's been working this whole semester already, gearing up for all of you to enter. She is going to be doing the majority of the grading of the smaller tasks so that I can concentrate on providing you feedback on your actual manuscript. She's maybe in charge of a lot of the busy work, which I'm so grateful for. So what I want to do going forward, and of course I would love to meet all of you right now, but given time constraints, I'll just wait to meet all of you in a few weeks. So what I want to do is actually show you my screen, and I'm going to walk you through some of the course components so that you can prepare for the course. I actually, don't hate me, I have a couple assignments for you that you'll need to do before the start of the course, but they won't actually be due until the end of week 1. But I want to give them to you now because week 1 has a lot of other videos and readings and requirements. And so if you wait to do what I talk about today until week 1, then you're going to have a very, very busy week 1. Okay? So some of these things include finding your target journal and collecting 10 articles from your field. That's basically it. But I have some criteria for actually how to do that effectively. So I'm going to share my screen now so that you can see our Canvas site. And I'm gonna go into student view so that you don't see what I see, instead you see what you see. And plus all of my tabs that are open because I'm crazy busy these days. So first things first, if you got an email today that had this heading, meeting today, set up notifications, if you got that message through your email, awesome. If you didn't, then I really want you to go to the PDF or the link that I sent in this message and set up notifications for this course. This course is completely asynchronous, which means that each week I give you the content and you complete it at your own pace throughout that week. But then I send out different messages about twice a week for sure. And if you're not getting those in a timely fashion, then you could be missing out on something. So first things first, make sure you are set up for notifications. Then this is our course homepage. And if you read this, you will notice that we have basically 4 main components of the class that you'll become very familiar with. The first one is one that I'm very proud about. This is Wrangler. This is a technology that I've been working on developing for the purpose of teaching this class, for teaching others that want to learn research writing. And so we're going to be delving into Wrangler in this class quite significantly. In fact, all of you are going to be piloting Wrangler 2.0 for the very first time. We've been using Wrangler 1.0 for about the last 3 years here on campus in the workshops and in the online course. And now I'm really excited for all of you to see the amped up version. So we'll be doing that basically every week. We work in Wrangler. Google Drive is where all of you will be submitting your outlines and drafts. And the reason is it's just really easy for me to go in there and comment and for you to reply to my comments and to see my track changes instead of in Canvas where I have to download everything and upload everything again, and it gets a little bit messy. So we're just going to be doing a lot in Google Drive. Flipgrid. So I am a big opponent, or a big advocate for classroom interaction, even when it's online and even when it's asynchronous. We're going to do this through Flipgrid. Some of you may have used it before, some of you it'll be the first time. But it is a video discussion board, which means that all of you will actually be recording short 1.5-minute clips of you each week and then replying to 2 of your classmates each week. And this is a way to really put names to faces and to engage with each other a little bit more, because since it's not face-to-face, it never has been a face-to-face course, this is my way to bring in a little bit more interaction and a little bit more spice into the course. And then office hours will always be through Zoom. Hannah and I will provide you with that information, but this is my Zoom link here. We'll see if that works for Hannah to use my Zoom link, but we might be posting down here a link for me and a link for her. So we'll give you those updates when the course comes. But these are the main things about the course, so I want you to take a look. But most important for today is to go to your modules tab, and I want you to download the syllabus. I've worked really hard throughout the years kind of perfecting this syllabus, and this semester I've changed it up a little bit to provide each of you a little bit more time for writing within the 8 weeks, and that's why you're required to do a little bit of work before the class starts. So the 8 weeks, again, are intense. I mean, can you imagine, have any of you written a full manuscript start to finish in 8 weeks? Anyone? If you have, like, props to you, because that is a difficult feat. You know, sometimes we say, oh yeah, I have this next month, I'm gonna write this paper in 4 weeks. And we try and we're like, oh, what was I thinking? Like, that's not possible. It's time intensive. But with this course and our community of writers, all of us writing together, we can make this happen in 8 weeks. We've done it, again, we've done it in 3 other courses where I've had everybody complete within that time frame, an entire manuscript. And so I know that all of you can do that as well. But in order to do that, I've really put together a pretty strict schedule with some flexibility to allow you to breathe as much as possible. So while it is, and I've warned you all, hopefully from the start, that it is intensive, the feedback so far from this course is that it is one of the most, if not the most beneficial course because of its practicality. And students have said this in, across disciplines, both in, the human sciences and education and engineering. They're all saying this. And so I don't want to like hype it up too much because all of you are going to find different benefits and costs of the class. But I do want to assure you, the purpose of me saying this to you is that yes, it is intensive, but it's going to be worth your time. Okay. So you're going to find that you're very productive during this time. So I'm going to go through the syllabus just very briefly so you have a general idea of what's coming up, and that way I can segue into what I want you to do pre-course. But your task would be to actually read the syllabus fully. Usually I have a syllabus quiz, but I was like, you know what? All of you are adults. You're all, graduate students. I don't need to quiz you on this because you're going to read the syllabus, right? Okay, so here's some information about the course, information about my hours. Hannah's hours are coming soon. Those tools that I already mentioned to you, and then grading. So in this class, we basically have exercises and then writing. So the purpose of this class is not just to give you deadlines to write so that you are continuously like motivated to write, but it's also a content course in that I am going to teach you about writing a research article, and you are going to write. Okay, so we have exercises that are related to more of the teaching aspect or learning about the conventions of peer-reviewed journal articles, and then we have the actual drafting of the article. So it's fairly balanced, but of course the emphasis is here on the drafts. Now with these drafts, notice you have a results draft, and this is why it's so important that by day 1, you have your results, at least your preliminary results, analyzed and ready to go, because these results will drive your argumentation for your introduction. Meaning that in your introduction, you should know exactly how you're going to align your research with the field. And you don't necessarily know that unless you have your results. So even though our results are not coming till later, that message, that conceptualization of your work needs to be solidified in week 1, okay? And I have some tools that you're gonna be thinking about pre-course start date that will enable you to do this, all right? So getting feedback from me, feedback from a disciplinary expert, so results. This course is not for the purpose of me being this all-knowing person. I am an expert about writing. I am an expert about writing across disciplines. But I'm not a disciplinary expert, right? So I am not here to tell you that you are not contributing to your field in this way. I'm talking to you about how you are communicating that contribution to your field. You're going to have to go to your advisor and talk about whether or not this is the actual contribution that you have. You see, so I don't want to pretend that I know everything about your disciplines, but I will be providing you strategies so that you can become not only a disciplinary expert, but a disciplinary writing expert. So you can go to your peers and say, hey, here are some strategies for how we can look at writing in our field. So I will be providing you strategies to look at writing in biology, in exercise science, in engineering, in education, all of these different areas. They will all apply to all of you. So that's what I'm expert in, and I'm going to provide the expertise to you. Okay, so I just want to make that really clear, because I try to not comment on content when I am providing feedback. But if something is a glaring issue, I will say something like, please see your advisor. This doesn't seem clear. Okay. So that's going to happen. So I'm super excited that that last product is an actual peer-reviewed journal manuscript. And I really hope to hear from all of you within the next 6 to 12 months that you've published an article. So some course policies that you can take a look at. The course packet is at the end of this, and I'll show you that, but it's really, really, really important. It has all the details about each assignment, the requirements, the grading criteria. It should be just really straightforward, no hidden messages here. Okay, so let's go into the schedule. Any questions yet?
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
For a minute, I thought I wasn't registered because this course isn't coming up on my dashboard yet, but I checked and I am. I'm just wondering if others are having that issue and maybe it's not published yet.
The course is on mine. I can see it if I go into my list of all the courses, but it's marked as currently inactive.
Oh, okay.
So I can't interact with it.
Okay, let me do this at the very end after I stop the recording, and then we'll address that. So Samantha, remind me before I let everybody go, so I can troubleshoot it and make sure it's good. Okay, so all of you are still seeing my canvas? Yeah. And I'm gonna expand it. All right. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So again, I adjusted the syllabus a little bit this semester, which means that I've cut some things out so that you can accomplish some tasks fairly easily, and we can jump into the actual writing right away, week 1. So what I've done is I've provided this schedule with optional readings, and I actually haven't posted the readings yet. I forgot about that. I'll do that today, but they're optional. But there's videos. These videos literally are under 3 minutes. So I've been working on them very hard. Like recently, Hannah's been helping me as well to get them top notch so that they are getting lots of information in a short amount of time. So you can read or watch those. So there's 5 videos, literally under 15 minutes total, right? So nothing like too taxing. But what's really important is this assignment and this last assignment. So selecting a target journal. I mean, some of you maybe already have this journal thought about, but in order to write an effective article, you should really have your target audience in mind. And that target audience is the readers of that target journal. So I want you to, in the course packet, you'll be selecting 3 journals and justifying your choice of one of them, and then providing the submission guidelines. This is important because the way that you format your manuscript throughout this semester should align with the journal's expectations. And then in the 8th week, we'll revisit those expectations so to ensure that that final manuscript that you submit to me is as close to the expectations of that target journal as possible. Okay? So something in a target journal. Take-home messages here, your task is just to have a discussion with your advisor. So a take-home message is a central message that you're trying to convey to your audience. This message is oftentimes theoretically driven or driven by your findings, but essentially it's that contribution. If you were to, have you heard of the elevator speech? If you were to get into an elevator and somebody asks you, what is your research about? You could right away state those 3 or so central messages. This is very similar to like a 3-minute thesis talk, right? So you need to figure this out because these messages, again, are going to drive your argumentation. And it's going to drive your entire research story all the way from your introduction to your discussion. And since we're starting with the introduction in this class, you need to have an idea of how you're going to conceptualize your research. So there's a video about that and an optional reading, and then the task is just to have a discussion with your advisor at some point between now and the next month to make sure that when you are ready to write your manuscript, you know exactly the direction you want to go in. Okay? So not a big task, right? And many of you will be meeting with your advisor in the next month anyway. So you can slip in a short little conversation about your central messages for this paper specifically. And then the last thing is compiling a research article corpus. So in this course, a technique that we're going to be used is very much related to my approach, which is applied linguistics, analyzing language. In order to analyze language to inform your writing process, we need to look at quality examples. So I want all of you to find 10 articles, and many of you already have 10 articles, but I want you to look for 10 articles that are representative of either high quality writing or high quality research. Now you could have articles that are about your topic, or they could be articles that are related, but by a researcher that you really like their writing style. It could be a paper from your advisor, okay? There are many reasons for why you would choose articles for this corpus, and you can decide what they are. One of those articles I want you to identify as a primary article. A primary article is essentially an article that resembles like the writing style that you are shooting for, or the format of your research paper, or just overall high quality work that you want to analyze, because what we're going to be doing is reading research, critically reading this research for their writing features in order to inform our writing process. So to do that, again, we want to start with a good source of articles from your field. And this is, again, how I am going to teach you to be a disciplinary writing expert, is by looking at research in your field. So that's it. These tasks are things that you probably have already done, have thought about in some way, but now I'm just going to make it like more structured requirements so that you are truly ready to go for week 1, which is introduction sections. Okay? I'm not going to go through this timeline because you can look at it yourself, but essentially how it's structured is you get 2 weeks for introduction sections, 2 weeks for method sections, 1 week for results. Okay, this is big. So everything that we would do in 2 weeks for methods, introductions, and again, and discussion conclusions, you're going to do in 1 week for results. That's another reason why your results need to be, your data needs to be analyzed and ready to go. At this time, you're going to get it reviewed by a near peer. So I'm not going to review your results section. You're going to ask either a colleague or a postdoc or a research mentor to read this section. Okay, so plan ahead. In week 5 of the course, I don't know the exact dates, we can look those up, but the week 5, prepare yourself that it's going to be a busy week, okay? And you're going to have to get that paper section reviewed by a near peer, right? So that's week 5. Week 6 and week 7 are discussion conclusion sections. We'll do a peer review in this week. Actually, it's this last week, but it's a peer review of basically your discussions conclusion section before we wrap it up, polishing your manuscript in week 8. All right. So week 1, 2, introductions, 2, 3, 4, methods, 5, results, 6, 7, discussion, 8, polishing. Okay, so that's the course. Any questions about the timeline? Okay, again, I hope all of this is very straightforward, but if it's not, I'm always looking to improve. So now here's the course packet. It's in the same file as the syllabus, but again, this contains all of the assignment sheets, all of the rubrics that you'll need for this course. So those pre-course requirements, there's basically just two: selecting a corpus and selecting a journal and compiling a corpus, and then all these exercises that I won't talk about today. You can read about them, but you will be introduced to them as we start the semester. So selecting a journal, really simple. Like, what is your discipline? Top 3 journals. So these may or may not be the journals that you actually select, because we're going to look at those, and then you're going to talk with an expert in your field. It might be your advisor, or it might be a postdoc or a mentor in your field, and just seek out their opinion about the best journal. And then, was this one of these top 3? Why or why not? Because some of you might have research that's ready for a high rank journal, but some of you might be ready for more of a mid-range journal, and that's totally okay, as long as you know why you are choosing that journal and that that journal is truly appropriate for your research. So if this is like your first manuscript you're ever writing, even though these are top in your field, you might not be choosing them this round. You might be, but this is a discussion that you need to have with somebody in your field, okay? But I want you to figure out what those top journals are, because this could be like your future goal to publish in these journals. But for this class, what are you going to publish in? And I want you to think about that. And then compiling the corpus, there's just some criteria here. Within the last 5 years is ideal, because writing does change, expectations do change. And so if you think of like the last 5 years, you're having the most recent and relevant literature. And so learning from their writing styles is going to be more effective than learning from very old research. But I understand that in some fields there's limited work in certain areas. So that's why I say this may not be possible, but try your best to find recent publications, okay? So again, you probably have some of these laying around already, organized in some way, but you're going to be submitting them using this title format, and then marking one of them as a primary article. I make a note here that this primary article may change. You may realize that after you analyze this model article for introduction sections, that it's actually not that great of a piece of writing. You'll notice that a lot of published work, you know, they have great research, and that's why they get published. But they get published in high quality journals because they're good at communicating their results. But every once in a while, you'll get articles in there that are good writing, but sometimes their message gets construed. And you'll notice that as you are analyzing work, and that will also inform your writing. So then when you get to your methods section, you might choose a different primary article, and that's totally fine, okay? But those are just some criteria to think about. So again, my intent here is to not overwhelm you and to be, you know, that professor that gives homework before the semester starts. But I really am doing this to ensure that your 8 weeks are truly purposeful and productive. And to do that, we have some preliminary things to think about to prepare for that time. Alrighty. Additional questions about those pre-course assignments? Okay. And those of you who are watching this video, you can always email me. Again, the other exercises, all the information is here that you may need, but this is for the actual 8 weeks. So I don't want you to, you know, look at them too closely, but definitely be familiar. And if you ever have questions about an assignment, look at the syllabus first, and then ask Hannah or myself, as are always options, okay? Yeah, so let me stop sharing my screen and open it up for a few questions overall about anything that you may have or concerns that you may have. Is there anything you want to ask about?
Dr. Link.
Yes.
grammar, how much does that get taken? I just apologize to Hannah now because my grammar is terrible. So I know when grading mine, there would probably be quite a bit of.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about this in this class, a different view towards grammar. So I am not one to stick towards like hard and fast grammar rules. And I'm not going to teach you these grammar rules. I might comment on some things here and there that are glaring, of course, but that's only in your final manuscript. Your grammar could be horrible up until your final manuscript before you bring it to your professor. That's when we really worry about grammar. What we're going to notice in this class is how to critically analyze published writing to look at their grammatical structures. You may read a sentence and be like, wow, that sentence was really well stated. You need to know, why did they state that sentence and how is it used to communicate their argument? So then we're going to learn from their grammatical structures to create our own structures that are equal of quality. So while you're saying, you know, I have grammar issues here and there, we're going to be learning, and the only way to learn is through practice. Writing is just like any other skill, right? We have to practice. But what I'm going to do is not necessarily teach you how to write. I'm going to teach you how to read. And through that critical reading, you are going to learn how to write. Then when you write, I will provide you feedback that will again inform your understanding of writing, okay? So at this point, you know, we all have grammar issues. We have mechanic issues like commas, those kind of issues. We'll focus on editing in week 8. Okay, good. Any other questions?
I have a question regarding the manuscript. Should it be something that we begin for this semester, or can it be something like ongoing project that we have already been thinking about? Where should we start?
Yeah, so the only thing I don't want you to do is come to the class with a manuscript that's already done and all you want to do is improve it. Like ideally you would come with a manuscript that you've maybe been thinking about, but you haven't written. Or maybe you've outlined it, but you haven't written any of the sections. Or maybe you've done the literature review, but you haven't done, you know, the introduction, methods, results. So you can be like somewhat started, but if you're going to have the most, if this class is going to be the most beneficial, then you would come with a clean slate, right? Because once you complete that first manuscript, you can then go to the manuscript that you already have done and analyze that, and you're going to come to that manuscript with a newfound understanding of research article writing. Guaranteed. I have students who have come in the past and they're like, oh my gosh, now I went and I looked at my dissertation and I want to change the whole thing. I'm not suggesting that, but they have this, raised awareness to be able to do that. So I would suggest to come to the class with a new manuscript ready to go from scratch, but it's not a requirement, okay? What I really discourage is changing your topic after week 1. Ideally, you start week 1 with your topic and you do not sway. The students who sway from that original topic end up really struggling to keep up in the course, okay? So that's why I CC'd all of your advisors when I contacted them. They know, they affirmed to me that all of you are ready to go, so you should be at that point of not swaying topics, right? Your argumentation might change a little bit, and that's okay. That's part of the revision process, but your topic should be still the same. Good question. Anything else?
Would it be possible for you to email us the syllabus?
Yeah, so I'm going to stop. So if there's no other question, I'm going to stop the recording. No other questions? Okay, for those of you at home, email me if you have any questions.